Hi, so my name is Nicole Penney. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and allowing us to share with you some of the projects we've been working on. I realized that the easiest way for me to talk about what we do down at the Heritage Foundation ICH office is to just kind of talk about some of the work that I do, because I do a little bit of everything at the office. So when people ask me in passing what my job title is, it's a bit more of a longer conversation than I think they were in for, but I bet a lot of people in this room have that exact same experience. So I was hired by the Heritage Foundation of Newfoundland and Labrador 2 years ago as part of my public folklore graduate program. I was required to complete 2 internships as part of that program. And one of those, the last one, was with the ICH office. For that project, I traveled across the island documenting basket making in Newfoundland, particularly mill lunch baskets, which are a woven wooden lunch basket used traditionally by paper mill workers in western and central Newfoundland. And so my funding was extended after that project, and I've since been working between both the Heritage Foundation's Built Heritage program and the Intangible Cultural Heritage Office. When it comes to my work with the Heritage Foundation's ICH office, I manage the ICH, I help manage the ICH collection on Mun's DAI. I write for the newsletter and the blog, and I do event planning, and I help with community outreach. And for example, I instruct a workshop where I share the knowledge of how to make a woven textile called a pillow top, which was traditionally made by Newfoundland and Labrador men working in the lumber camps. This particular workshop has generated a lot of interest in the past year, and has been very rewarding for me to actively take part in transmitting traditional knowledge. I've been all over the province teaching this workshop, and we've developed partnerships with institutions like the Rooms, Mary March, and Loggers Life Museums in Grand Falls, Windsor, and the Archives Public Programming Division with the Rooms in St. John's. Another part of my job with the ICH office is community outreach, which I feel is one of the most important things that we do. For example, I was recently asked by organizers Lori and Christine LeGros to attend the No Idle Hands traditional craft sale and exhibition, and they asked me to come along to document the event. So I spent 2 days at the plantation in Kitty Bitty, photographing and conducting oral histories with local artists and craftspeople. And part of that too was people that were coming down to the event could bring down an item with them, an old textile or craft that had belonged to a family member, or they could bring down their own craft or textile that they were working on. And I was set up right by the door, and then it was lovely because it was a folklore stream. I had people coming up to me, wanting to talk to me, and I didn't have to go out for them, and I had my little chair there. And so I got a lot of great oral histories, like great little sound bites throughout that weekend, and it was a really great experience. So part of my work with the ICH office is as a researcher and folklorist, so I often collect and document Newfoundland's intangible cultural heritage through oral histories with local tradition bearers, which is one of the most rewarding parts of my job, is knowing that that knowledge is being preserved, and preserved in a way where it can continue to be transmitted. I also advise community heritage groups on how to properly preserve and digitize their materials. I've been asked to speak to schools about Newfoundland fairy lore, and I help with photograph requests from magazines such as Saltscapes. So we could get asked to do almost a little bit of everything. It's really interesting opening my inbox every morning and seeing what's in there. I also assist everyday individuals who get in touch and just want to know which institutions in the province they need to visit to find out more about a particular subject. And I mean, you could, like I said, there's almost anything you could be asked to do. One time I even turned some DVDs back into VHS for an elderly man in a rural community who could not get out the DVDs from his public library, and he was particularly interested in knowing more about the fishery in Newfoundland. So those were pretty easy to find, and then I had to kind of go the other way. I'm usually turning analog into digital, but it was interesting to backtrack, and we just mailed those out to him, and he was very happy with that. And so that is one of the little things that we'll do as well. And and basically, it's just a really big part of my job is making culture and heritage accessible to the community in a lot of different ways. And so this brings me to another big part of my job with the ICH office, which is digitizing and arrangement and description for the DAI's ICH collection, which Chris had spoke about this morning, earlier. This collection is a great way for small community groups to make their materials available to the public. Many small heritage groups don't have the means to make their oral history collections available to a large audience. Some don't have a physical repository or an archive where people can visit. It might be just a very small heritage group in a small community with just a couple volunteers. I'm sure a lot of you out there sit or have been with those groups. And, you kind of just get done what you can. And so unless these collections can be accessed and the knowledge and stories contained on them, if they can't be heard, if they can't be accessed by researchers and students and just the general public, then there's really no point in them existing. So one thing we are very happy to do at the ICH office is facilitate getting these up online. So communities often get in touch with us for help digitizing their own oral history collections. And so sometimes a group might have all the means to do that themselves. They just want to know, what's the best format to put this in? What is the best technology to get to do this? And myself and quite often Chris will help with that. And so a lot of the things that we're digitizing are photographs, tape cassettes, ephemera, VHS, and other analog materials to digital files. I then write metadata, which not everybody finds so great, but I've become the metadata person at the office. That is basically the descriptions and things like that. Chris had shown you an entry from the DAI earlier, and the metadata is basically all the words underneath the picture of the video or the audio file. And so I also manage these collections, create collections when they're needed, and along with Chris, just general maintenance of the DAI. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you a few video clips from a collection I've currently been working on, which came to us from the Baccalieu Trail Heritage Corporation. So the Intangible Cultural Heritage Office, in partnership with the Baccalieu Trail Heritage Corporation, is currently arranging and describing this collection for the DAI. And these filmed oral histories, which is fantastic, they're filmed. I don't get to see that very much. It was a challenge because I had to rip them from the DVDs and then convert them into another file, and then I had to, anyway, it was a lot to do, but it was worth it. They were done in 2005 by the Baccalieu Trail Heritage Corporation from over 40 elders, tradition bearers from the communities in the area. So Baccalieu Trail is about 70 communities. And the project recorded memories of living and working in the area, attending school, children's games, home remedies, the first modes of transportation in the area, Christmas traditions, tales of the supernatural, and a lot more. And just to let you know a little bit about the Baccalieu Trail Heritage Corporation, they're a not-for-profit organization dedicated to preserving, promoting, and protecting the heritage of the Baccalieu Trail region. And in addition to their ongoing archaeological surveys, excavations, and interpretation, the corporation has been involved in a wide range of heritage projects since 1993. So I have a few clips for you today of some of these videos. Put the first one on. You have to put them on. So first of all, we have Violet Bishop. She is originally from Cavendish, and she was interviewed on June 2nd, 2005 by Julia Harrington. And I titled this one Brown Flower. Mrs. Bishop in this is talking about living in an electric
It was bad times, my dear. I could cry to think about it, you know. Our babies died, and little ones didn't have the food that they should have had. But we weren't too bad off because, like I said, it was only small family.
Yeah.
But we didn't get everything around it. But
Larger families.
the poor things that come and knock on your door and wanting over to change a bit of wheat flour and give them a bit of wheat flour for some brown flour. That's all they were allowed to have, was brown, and there was insects in it and everything. But I didn't mind being able to have it behind a friend next door, because we made lovely puddings and cakes.
Yeah.
Brown but you sit it, see? The idea was you had to sit it before you use it.
Yeah.
So this is what the government of that day do to people of Newfoundland, and I don't mind saying it. Brown, flour with insects in it.
All right, yeah, so. And she talked about her neighbors around her who had 10, 15 children being on the dole, and they didn't care about the brown bread, you know, about trading it out. So it's interesting to hear that. Now, the next one I have, I really like this one. This is Mary Babb. She's 87 years old when this was recorded in 2005. And she was interviewed April 27th, 2005 by Linda Cooper. And this is about a christening dress that is, I think at the time this was recorded, it was 90-something years old. The woman you're going to see, she was christened in the dress herself, and so were all of her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, and I think just about every child in the community was christened in this dress.
Yeah, and something else I can well remember, my christening dress. My children was christened in my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and I still got it.
Are they like the christening dresses that we wear today?
Pardon?
Are they like the same as the...
No, it's, can you get the christening dress, Polly, in the son? It's in a box. Just bring that show to the girls. And 2 years ago now, I had my last grandchild, great-grandchild, and he was christened in St. Paul's in Harvard.
Those were passed down?
And there was hundreds of children christened in that dress, because when mother got it, of course, the bride scrubs with a lot of people in it then. And when they heard tell the dress and saw, but of course when they had a baby, they thought they had to come and get you on the dress, they would be christened, the child would be christened. Am I keeping you around, y'all? That's good. It's a little bit off weight now. Now this was handmade by my aunt.
Anything with the little pictures in this?
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, hold it a little bit more. That's beautiful.
That would be 95 years old.
Yeah. My favorite thing about that little clip is she reminds me a lot of my grandmother when she takes it out and she has to explain, it's a little off-white now. It's 93 years old. Okay. All right, so the last video is probably, well, I have to say there was over 40 of these videos. The very first one that I looked at described, digitized, did the tape box for everything was Mr. Robert Andrews of Shipco Portagrave, and he ended up being my favorite. One of my favorites. Like I said, I had many favorites, you know. But this interview was done June 23rd, 2005. Linda Reed was the interviewer, and he is a boat builder. You can see he's there. They did it in his workshop, and that's a boat right there. But what I really liked was this little kind of urban contemporary legend that he told about a young couple at Lover's Leap. So I'll just leave it at that.
Portagrave was always an old community, and there's a lot of There's a lot of history in Baccalieu. We have a little place down there, I tell you, there's a cliff down there, and it's called Lover's Leap. And there's a lot of people from, I suppose I should say, most all over the world that have come into Baccalieu and got some of these stories and that. And this place called Lover's Leap down here, there's 80 feet from the sea level up to the top to where the road goes along the cliff. And it was a fella and a girl used to go together back in the 1800s. And they used to, the rails along by the top of the cliff, they used to get up again that at night time and rest up again there. And so the father of the girl didn't want her to be going with this guy. So one night he took his saw and went and he sawed off half the rail, sawed the rail partly off. And when they rested up again the rail in the night, they fell out. And they fell 80 feet. And at that time the girls used to wear, I don't know if you've ever tell her the big dresses with a hoop.
Yes,
The hoop dresses, yeah, that's what you were wearing at that time. And as they fell down, the two of them fell down together. When they landed down the beach, they wasn't hurt. And they got out of it, and they say that the wind, which was falling, got up and under this big wood tree. And
So that always makes me picture Alice falling. Yeah. So that's my presentation. These will be uploaded to the DAI in about 4 parts. I think there's, the first part is up there now, which I think is about 10 videos. And so, yeah, if you search Baccalieu Trail on the DAI, you can find some of these today. Thank you very much.